A very good evening, everyone. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Dr. Ajay Kela, the President and CEO of the Wadhwani Foundation. Welcome, Dr. Kela. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Dr. Kela, for somebody who's hearing about the Wadhwani Foundation for the first time, I want you to explain the audience what your organization does and how does it empower people.
Yeah. So our mission is to essentially empower as many people around the world, or as many families, with at least one individual in the family with a family supporting wage. And the whole idea is, if every family has that kind of an earning capacity,
Right.
beyond food, shelter, clothing, to invest in the professional upliftment of themselves and their kids, you not only transform the individual or the immediate family, but potentially generations to come.
Right.
So, so all with that sort of as a context, all we do is work in the job space. And within the job space is not any job. It's a job that can support a family of four.
Right.
So,
Can you share a success story with the audience?
yeah. So let me talk about what we do in that space, and then I'll talk about all the successes we have. So we talked about the family wage jobs. So we do two things. One is to create such high value family wage jobs. And there we primarily work with various stages of entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So from educating and inspiring the best and brightest in the top colleges in the country to look at entrepreneurship as an alternate career.
Right.
The good news is, if you drive around India, and today we operate in multiple countries, like primarily emerging economies, there's no shortage of problems to be solved. So if we get our best and brightest mind to focus on solving the problems, and in turn creating companies and creating jobs, that'll be fantastic. So that's one program we call Ignite.
Right.
And talking about the success, we today globally educate and inspire on an annual basis 50,000 students a year.
Right.
The next phase is where of those that have started their entrepreneurial journey. So these are startups.
Okay.
Failure rate in India, in Mexico and Brazil, again, large population, emerging economies, is more than 90%. In fact, even in Silicon Valley, which is the mecca of startup, the failure rate is 70-80%, because it's just tough to create companies. It's almost, I equate it to being an Olympian, you only a few can get there.
Right.
So we have a program there called Liftoff, where we provide personalized intervention to these guys to first make sure that more of them survive,
Right.
and then help them thrive. So that's the Liftoff initiative. This year we're going to help somewhere around 3,000 to 4,000 such companies.
Okay.
The third stage are companies that are small but already demonstrating a business model success. So these are small companies. Could be, in Indian terms, 8 crores, 16 crores, up to 100, 200 crores. When you are earning or when you're generating revenue of those kinds, you already have a successful business model. Many have a potential to scale 2x, 10x from where they are.
Right.
When large companies want to scale, they get McKinsey and Accenture and BCG helping them. These guys don't get that help, and neither can these guys afford it. So that's another bucket of companies we help to accelerate their scale. So combination of these three creates jobs.
Right.
And we pick companies where their revenue growth will result in higher value family wage jobs. It's not an Uber driver job or a Swiggy job. Can we get them to higher So that is on the job creation side.
Right.
Our mission over the last goal over the next 5 years is to be able to create 3 to 5 million such high value family wage jobs.
Okay.
So this is one part of the equation. I talked about putting people in family wage jobs. The other side of this coin is in this day and age, to command a family wage job, the skills that are required are substantial and ever changing.
Right.
There was a time when a high school degree was enough to get a decent wage. Today, in India, even an engineering degree may not be enough. And even if you have an engineering degree from a top institute, the shelf life of that degree is no more than 3 to 5 years.
Right.
Because things are changing so rapidly. I actually, say the academic model, the textbook model is dead. We just have not buried it. Because industry is moving at a much, much faster pace than academia is able to keep up. But the good news is, increasingly employers are valuing skills over academic credentials.
Definitely.
Actually, there's an excellent example. Google about 5 years ago introduced 5 in-demand job skills, things like data analytics, digital marketing,
Right.
and published that if any of the students pass this course, and these were 300, 400, 500 hours, they don't care whether you have a college degree or you have your 8th fail.
Right.
Now, if you go to the Google site, you'll see hundreds of US companies have adopted that. So they are not valuing academic credentials anymore. So that's what we also do now. We, over the last now 7 years or so, we have developed what we call in-demand evergreen skills. One of them is employability skills. So these are skills like teamwork, collaboration, customer centricity, market awareness, problem solving, critical thinking.
Right.
These are evergreen skills. When in any interview, when an employer is making a decision, they may call you for your technical skills, but they make your decision on how did you communicate, what attitude you're showing. And so these are sort of the hidden valuable skills. So we talked to 2,000 employers, understood what is it they wanted and build this. Actually, this year we are going to have over 1 million students go through this program. So talking about the success of this, 1 million students are going through the program. We disseminate this through a whole bunch of partners, almost all, whether it's academic institutes, skilling organizations, employers, they are all adopting our curriculum to roll this out.
Right.
Yeah.
It's lovely to know what Wadhwani Foundation is doing in this space. You also spoke about digital transformation. We know that technologies like generative AI, Meta, they've come into the space. How do you think they're going to impact the work trends, the future trends that are happening today?
Yeah. I mean, I think, so Gen AI is the latest wave, right? 20 years ago, the internet was the wave, and then you could keep going back. There was the Industrial Revolution and so on. Any of these massive waves are always disruptive.
Right.
But they always result in next level of higher value jobs. So there is short-term gain, but eventually there will be long-term short-term pain. There will be a long-term gain.
Right.
And long-term gain would be, the kind of work that knowledge workers, humans will do, will evolve into a higher level of work, where lower level of work will get done through tools like Gen AI.
Right.
In fact, we have integrated Gen AI into our EdTech platform. So as students are going through their journey, There is a live expert on-demand tutor available to you 24 by 7 that has the knowledge of the internet, that can speak in any language. So in India is an excellent example, right? If you build a curriculum, but a lot of the students are not comfortable in English, and English is the language of the corporate, and you get better, salary and compensation with if you know English.
Right.
But if I'm learning an English lesson and I am stuck, I can ask in Hindi, I can ask in Kannada, and I will get a response back in Kannada. Along the way, I learn English while I'm not being totally, constrained by not being able to move forward.
Right.
Yeah.
It's great you spoke about the curriculum. The national education policy, it has had revisions in 2020.
Correct.
I want to ask you, what would you suggest? What should be some of the changes in the curriculum that we are studying today in India?
I think it needs to shift from academics to skills.
Okay.
It needs to be very, very dynamic. It needs to align with the industry. So, deliver it, the technology has evolved rapidly. So, leverage technology as the platform to deliver the curriculum. Design curriculum and content in deep partnership with the industry, and be able to constantly update and revise. Think of it as every 6 months, 10-20% of it should change to be able to keep up.
Right.
Rather than a 4-year program, think of 500 to 1,000 hours of continuous training every 2 to 3 years to evolve. And that's what will happen. I mean, even today, right? You go to college, you learn something. 3 years later, you're not using what you learned in college. You're keeping up with the new thing. So academic needs to evolve to that. And the curriculum that is fed into the academics need to evolve to be very dynamic, need to leverage technology to deliver.
Right. You also spoke about collaborations with the industry associations and the government. What kind of collaborations can be done in the space of skilling and job creation?
Yeah. So the ultimate goal of anyone that is going through a skilling or academic journey is to get a job. And the jobs are with the industry and with the employers. So the first thing you do is, if you're building a curriculum, is to collaborate very closely at the front end.
Definitely.
Around designing the curriculum and keeping in touch around the curriculum. Second is, even while you're going through the journey, it should be a combination of classroom and industry, hands-on. So again, to do more things hands-on, you need to collaborate around a deeper apprenticeship model, and maybe a model where there is a continuous thing, right? Today you go to college, you spend 8 hours in college. How about in the beginning you spend 6 hours in college and 2 hours, and then it transition to 2 hours here and 6 hours there before you get in. So that's one area. Industry probably also needs to engage in terms of providing adjunct faculty more open to so that they are more involved in the teaching versus only academicians teaching. Those are examples. And of course, even post getting employed, given this is a continuous journey, employers need to embrace a continuous journey learning process.
Right.
So encourage employees to, or reward employees that are upskilling themselves while they are in the job.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Kela. One last piece of advice that you would like to give to the job seekers and the freshers and the young talent that we have in India?
Well, the good news is most of the young folks here are extremely conversant with the latest in technology, right? TikTok, and India doesn't have TikTok, but it has Reels, Insta Reels, and so on. A lot of learning today is happening through not reading, but watching videos or interacting with and the interact. These two are actually far superior way of teaching and learning. So leverage that to also gain knowledge, I would say, and not only spend a whole bunch of energy on entertainment, but spend it on upskilling yourself as well. And of course, the creators need to make sure that they create engaging content, gamified content to walk in the journey. Change is going to be the only constant. Embrace change. Especially the young today, they will absolutely need to embrace change.
Right.
So don't be afraid of change. Change is happening. Jump into the change, learn from it, digest. And there's today, the good news is there's so much information available on demand in a format you like, so you can keep up a lot more easily than what was possible to do in the past.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. You've given some very inspiring insights to our audience. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
It was lovely having you on our show.
Yeah,
Thank
it was
you.
a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.